Is it even possible to grow a $100 account through trading? That's exactly what we took another look at today. I topped up the $100 account here and immediately traded it up to $150. All of this happened within a single day and with just 2 trades. And today we're going to take a look at the whole thing right here. If you like what you see, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe for free. But I'd say let's first take a look at the analysis and then we'll jump right into the live trade. And if you want to learn all of this now and you're looking for a trading community, feel free to join us in the VIP group. There are over 120 active members there. We'd love to have you join us. We're also active on Discord in the mornings. We're definitely looking forward to having you. If you're watching this video today, on this Sunday, we still have a 25% discount promotion going on. Feel free to take advantage of it. You can get 25% off with the code VIP25, but only until today, the day this video is released. So you can still take this opportunity, but of course, you're always welcome to join our VIP group or take advantage of my coaching. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we sit down together here and learn trading together. So before we get started with the live trade, let's first take a look at the analysis. We're looking at the gold chart here, specifically the 15-minute chart. Of course, you can also analyze everything on a higher time frame, which I have, of course, already done. So let's switch to the 1-hour chart. It all looks worse than it actually is. In the end, I try to simplify things as much as possible. We had a massive candle upwards here, which showed us bullish momentum. So yes, long momentum, meaning trades in the long direction are a good idea here. In general, we're in a difficult phase here, so you shouldn't risk too much anyway. But we also have this gray area down here. The gray area is also a 4-hour support zone. That means it was an additional support for me. From a 1-hour perspective, we now have various options that we can trade here. We can say, all right, we have a nice order block here, guys, this entire order block with a fair value gap above it. You can see I had already marked the other one on the smaller time frame, but here above it, of course, is the fair value gap. Now, I've drawn this green line so that I simply know, okay, in this area, we now have our upper zone, our upper edge of the order block. That means the green line is now interesting for us. Then I switched to the smaller time frame and checked, okay, the 15-minute chart. What possibilities do we have here? How could we trade here? And here on the left side, we also have another order block down here. And as you can see, I then took the fair value gap and marked it again down here all the way up to the top. I said, okay, the best entry would therefore be down here from this order block. That was the plan behind it. Now let's take a look over here to the side. Okay, the whole thing came down here. We have a trend line here. If this gets broken, it would definitely be great if we could already be heading long from there. That would, of course, be great. So that was the initial trading idea. And then to hold the whole thing, yes, 1-to-1, you know the drill, definitely that. But here, of course, we then had the opportunity to target the liquidity that is present up above. That means these areas up here, yes, so these high highs here were basically the take profit. And to the left, you could also see there's another high. So theoretically, we could target these areas if we're lucky. And the long movement starts now, yes. Sometimes it can take a bit longer, but in general, at some point, the whole thing will start moving toward the liquidity again. Overall, with this upward movement, we already had a good indication that it would continue to go long. Now, we looked and saw, okay, this green line here was the upper edge of the 1-hour order block, and the chart already reacted beautifully to it here. Yes, this bullish candle, you can see it here, looked very, very good. And the next candle even formed another wick to the downside. That means my entry for the trade was actually right above here. And from there, I actually entered the trade already. And as you can see, yeah, it wasn't the best entry. After that, there was a bit of drawdown. My stop loss was actually right down here as well. Why? Because we're trading with a $100 account, so our stop loss can't be too big here. It's better if we need a few more attempts and then trade the whole thing in the right direction. You can also just say, okay, maybe make the stop loss a bit smaller. The reaction looked really good. You could have entered there, but I'll show you a better entry in a moment if you had been a bit more patient. But I said, nope, I'll just give it a try. And if not, then I'll try down here. You can see it there. That's already the trade. And then down there again, yeah, I thought I'll just give myself 2 try zone up here, the aggressive one, and then another down here at the 50-minute order block that we have down here. Yeah, so 2 options for how I would trade the whole thing. And then, of course, my 1-to-1. You know it, I really like to trade 1-to-1. Or in this case, with a really small account, you could also say, okay, I'll take out half somewhere and just let the rest run because somehow we have to manage to slowly trade the small account upwards. And that helps a lot if you sometimes just take profits and let the rest keep running. But you can also say that 1-to-1 is completely sufficient. Everyone has to decide for themselves how they want to trade, yeah? In my case, it was simply these 2 options in the scalping area that I would go with, how I would try it out. You see, with a $100 account, I'm not going to look at, let's say, 1-hour charts and say, yeah, I'm going to make a big swing trade or day trade out of this. Of course, you can do that too, but with gold, there's currently a bit of a problem because it's moving so extremely. So we have to keep in mind that even with a small lot size, we're still risking quite a lot. But still, I said I'd try it out this way today and, of course, show you all how I traded here. Yeah, those were my thought processes. Those were my trade ideas. So what happened next? At some point, the whole thing broke through here. Let's take a look. 5-minute chart here. This is what it looked like. That means a better entry would actually have been if you had basically waited for this trend here to break upwards, right? Let's quickly take a look at what happened. The chart broke upwards here, and that would have been a great entry as well. Maybe wait briefly for the retest, right? In the end, here in this area, up here at this high, you could have said, okay, the entry is a bit worse there. So in this area, I would say you could have done that as well. Let's quickly see if we come back down again. It did come down. Well, not quite actually. You would have had to enter a bit higher. As you can see, finding the entry there isn't always that easy. You could also have said, okay, after the trend line breaks, we'll definitely go long here and then hold the trade. We'll take a look at the whole trade live in just a moment. How far did it go? When did I take profits? And so on and so forth. I just wanted to show you the analysis in advance here, how I did it and how I got into the trade, right? So in the end, you can just wait until the trend line is broken. And if there's momentum behind it, if we take a closer look, we can see there was some real power behind it, right? So here, a bullish candle, another one, and then several more after that. That already shows you, okay, yes, people really do want to buy here again, right? They want to push the chart back up again. Definitely a good sign that things are moving upward again here. And it also reacted really well to our 1 hour fair value gap. And then, of course, we could try it out here like this, but you really have to say, try, because of course the chart could also come back down here again, and that would have been the second scenario. If the trade here had also been a losing trade, then that's just how it would have been. But here, this is our setup from the 1 hour chart. That means, as you can see, even in scalping, I first use the higher time frame and then break it all the way down. Yes, completely down to the 5 or 15-minute chart, and that's where I enter the trade. But before we get too lost in theory here, let's jump right into the live trade. And if you want to start trading now, and you still need a broker who is really, really good, because that's exactly what we need in trading, just as you're seeing here in this video today. In scalping, we need a low spread and low fees, because otherwise our $100 account here would quickly end up completely in the red. That's another important point. So feel free to open an account with Vantage. You'll find the link in the video description. You even get an extra 50% on your first deposit. Take advantage of that if you like. I've been really happy with them for over 3 years now. And in general, they've been around for 15 years. So it's not a broker that just came out recently. They've been around for a very long time. So feel free to create an account. As I said, the link is in the video description. So here you can already see where I entered the trade, right? Just like we discussed earlier, right after the 15-minute candle here. At first, I aimed for a 1-to-1 ratio here as well. You can see up here, that's my take profit, and down here is my stop loss. At first, we went a bit into drawdown. And as you can see, I also risked quite a lot on this $100 account for this trade, right? So you shouldn't necessarily copy this. In the end, that's because I know my trading strategy, and I said, okay, $100 account, this time we'll try the slightly more aggressive approach. And I actually risked $25 here in this trade, so 25%. That's quite a lot, I would say. $25 is really way too much on a $100 account. I did it anyway because I said, yeah, with this risk, we'll go with 0.04 lots, because then I can also take some profits if the chart moves in the right direction. That was the thought behind it. And as I said, I gave myself another try down below. That means it would have been another $25. So the worst that could have happened would have been that the $100 account would have dropped down to $50, and then I would have basically halved it. Wouldn't have been so great, but at the end of the day, I also want to show you that you can do the same thing with a higher risk. If you say no, the most sensible thing is to trade the whole thing with 1%. You're absolutely right. I agree with you 100%. Feel free to check out the other $100 trading videos, because we've already done this before. You wanted to repeat. This time we're just going with a slightly more aggressive approach, and we'll see where we end up. But in the end, of course, it makes sense to do the whole thing with low risk, risking $1, $2, and then gradually growing the account. But today I wanted to push things a bit further here, and that's why I took on a bit more risk. Let's fast forward a bit here, because overall this took a little while. But after we broke through here, meaning the chart, and I went into quite a bit of drawdown again, I also took another look down here myself. You can see the mouse down here. I checked again myself. Okay, do I really want to take on that risk down there? Yes. And is my stop loss set correctly there? If you look at the smaller time frame here, 5 minutes, it dropped down quite a bit again. You start thinking, was it really such a good idea to enter this trade? Yes, that's exactly what I thought in this case too, because the trend line, let's remember, hadn't been broken yet, right? It still hadn't been broken. All right, I'll fast forward a bit. You already have a rough idea of the chart, and we can see here at the end, the chart actually moved back up, hit my entry point again. And that's when you can finally breathe a sigh of relief and say, oh, nice. Okay, maybe I really am positioned correctly here. Yeah, I know you guys definitely feel those emotions too. By now, for me, it's not that intense anymore. I'm just in the trade. And I think to myself, yeah, I did my analysis. I'll just let it run and see what happens. Because in the worst case, I'll just hit my stop loss. And that was the plan from the very beginning anyway. And that's why, as you can see, I also keep switching between the charts 5 minutes, 15 minutes. I look at everything and then think, yeah, okay, that makes sense. $6, $7, look, we are already in profit here. Theoretically, to put it simply, you could just close the trade now and say, okay, $7 on a $100 account is a direct 7%, right? But we actually risk a lot more. But if you're a beginner, it's really not a problem to just take the money sometimes and say, okay, I'll just get back in tomorrow and look for a new trade then. As a beginner, it's about taking what the market gives you and not being too greedy. But today, I'll show you how I did it here. But now, let's jump ahead a bit in time. Let's take a look at how the whole thing played out. So it definitely moved up from here. Looks very good. We're also looking at the 15-minute chart here. So the 15-minute candle really looks great. The whole thing is moving nicely upward. And at some point, we also take some profits. At least on a small account, you have to imagine with a $100 account, $17 means you're up 17% in profit. That's really a huge amount. And we've pretty much already completed our one-to-one here. And at some point, we just have to say, okay, we're taking half out now. And that's exactly what I did here at $20. So we took exactly $10 here. All right, I'll fast forward a bit because then we had a small reaction. The whole thing really took longer here. I'll just fast forward a bit because in this area, it reacted up here at the order block. You can see this order block on the left, that's where it reacted and then initially moved back down. Here quickly it drops down and fills this fair value gap. So everything is still within the expected range. It's allowed to do that. That's no problem at all. We can keep holding the trade. This is a normal reaction up here at the order block. And if it takes me out a break even now, that's not a problem. We've already taken half off and we'll just let the rest run. Then the whole thing really moved down. It actually took a while and look where we suddenly are now. Aha, we're suddenly in a different chart. We also had a GJ trade and I'll just explain that to you here. It's much easier. Take a look here on the left side. Here you can see a hole in the chart, a gap. That's also a 30-minute order block. Feel free to check it out again if you like. I'm recording this video on June 5, 2025 in case you want to look it up again in TradingView. And all of this happened in the morning, around 11 o'clock, I would say. Exactly. And up there we have a 30-minute order block and a gap in the chart, a complete hole. And I said, okay, this whole move came up so aggressively, it's basically filling that gap, right? So basically, the whole thing gets pushed up briefly through all the imbalance and so on, manipulated in that direction. And from there, I wanted to maybe try a small trade, taking a short position. So just a small, quick move, right? Nothing more. Not risking too much either, just seeing if it works out or not. Of course, I also switched over to gold again. Gold moved back up again here, but we were basically stuck there. That's the typical London session, right? Not much else really happened in the end. And I kept switching back and forth between timeframes a bit, checking things out and thought, okay, I'll give it a try here. And with a risk of, as you can see here, about $6. Yeah, so we entered a bit higher up there. Here, I'll just let it run for a moment. As soon as the candle turned red there, I said, all right, let's give it a try. Then we entered there. On the left side, you can see exactly where the gap was, where the hole was. That's where I entered, basically with the stop loss just above it. So about $5 or $6 in this area. And the take profit was down here, also around $5 or $6. And I just let it run to see, okay, does this whole thing work? And that's why, yes, I took a look at the whole thing. This was basically a little experiment here in GBP, JPY. I'm actually more of a gold trader, but when we saw this in our VIP group in the morning, I also said, yeah, it doesn't look bad at all. You can give it a try, but don't risk too much because the way it shot up here, it could have easily just kept going up without any problem, you know? So you always have to keep the risk in mind. So the trade also took its time here up there in that area, but at least it means, okay, the resistance seems to be holding there. Yeah, that's always a good sign. Now, I also started paying attention to my profit down below. Yeah, just about $13.9 here if we take a look down there. Here, just about $15, $16. With both trades, we're currently in profit. So, of course, I switched back over to gold and checked, okay, what's going on here? Yeah, gold finally managed to break out higher and moved up a bit further here. I'll fast forward the whole thing a bit more. Everything moved up really well here. The GJ trade also continued to run. I've now set it to break even. That means, as you can see, I always switch back and forth a bit. At the bottom of the time frame, we can already see that we're now $25 in profit, and I also closed the GJ trade here at $5. I said, come on, let's take it. It was a small risk, but $5 on an account like this is 5%, and that's exactly what I want to show you. You just saw that I risked significantly less with GJ. That would be your standard risk on a $100 account, okay? Not like how I did it with gold. I just know gold inside and out. So I simply know where and how I can enter trades, you know? I've been doing this for over 3 years now, but in any case, as you can see with GJ, I also scaled down the risk accordingly, and that's really important. Risk management is absolutely essential. So now we're back over here on the gold chart. You can see $21 in profit at the bottom, and I was able to take half out here as well. So we have 0.02 lots. So what did I do? Of course, yeah, let's take out half again, right? So we are not going to risk those $10 again and possibly lose them. And as you can see, the chart dropped instantly. So it was a good spot. It was a liquidity area with about $20 in profit. So it really was a great point to just take out half again. So we're already doing very, very well here in profit. Yeah, we've already taken profits twice now. The chart is still moving because we still have the chance to go all the way up. And that's why with a trade like this, let your winners run. And for the risky trades, just cap them and don't risk too much. Take them out and say, no, come on. It wasn't such a great trade anyway. And then another great trade will come along. Yeah. So, and in the end, yeah, I actually caught a really good trade here because the whole thing shot up. I also switched to a higher time frame here. You can see it here, 30-minute chart. I saw the liquidity at the top left, meaning the wicks we just discussed at the beginning of the video, and I just let the whole thing run here, and then it shot up and basically reached these areas here. At $20, I would normally have said, okay, at $20, let's take some more profits here. Yeah, but that didn't work out anymore in this case because we only have 0.01 lots left in here. Now the chart came back down again, but you shouldn't panic about that because the 30-minute candle was very bullish. That means the next one can, of course, come down here, form a small wick, and still flip bullish. And by now I know gold very, very well, and that's exactly what happened. Yeah, of course, that doesn't always happen, but I just know my gold chart. The whole thing flipped bullish here to the upside, and at some point I said $22. Now I have to slowly close the trade because, well, that's more than enough. We're actually much more in profit than we ever thought we would be, right? I let the whole thing run a bit further here. And then up here at this point, I said, okay, here at $25, $23, $24. And then I closed the trade completely here, Ren. That's enough. And then at the end of the day here, we'll go to the end. Now you can see here how much we actually made. $45 with this trade. I closed it up here. Gold actually kept going up much further after that, but that doesn't matter at all here. We really traded the $100 account up to $150. And that's truly remarkable. But I wouldn't recommend anyone to do it this aggressively. It's important to say that again, right? Stick to your rules. But I just wanted to show you how you can actually do this. That means at the end of the day, something like this really does work. And if you now want to know how the whole $100 account actually continues, should I keep trading it? Should I just see, using the aggressive approach, how far we can really go with it? Then be sure to write it in the comments now, leave a like on this video, and if you don't want to miss things like this in the future, definitely subscribe for free. That's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. So see you next time. Skin clean. Bye bye.